Hi everybody, it's Paula from Craftables here, and I'm here to share another one of our cards with you. This one is a card that has a little bit of ribbon on the side here, and we're just going to unfold that ribbon, and in the center it has this really lovely little booklet type thing on the inside. Okay, and I'll show you how to do these little rosettes with some bit of ribbon there. Right, so let's get started. So we have a piece of cardstock that we want to measure at 5 7/8 by 12, and I want you to pop the long side of your piece of cardstock into your trimmer, and I want you to score it at 4, 6 and 8. So that'll give us a score line here of 4, 6 and 8. So in order to get our card to sit nicely, we're just going to fold on those score lines. So this first score line on score line 4 inches is going to be a valley fold. So a valley fold is where you've got that little valley, so it's going down. So we're going to give that a good score down there, and I'll just get my scoring tool, and I'm going to give that a nice good burnish down there to give it a nice crisp edge on it. And then open it up again, and this middle fold, which is 6 inches there, it was going to make into a valley fold. Sorry, a mountain fold. So it's going to be that mountain there. So I'm going to give that a good burnish down as well. Okay, so we now have a valley fold and a mountain fold, and this last one is going to be a valley fold again. So again, I'm just going to put that down and give it a good burnish. And there we have our valley, mountain and valley fold. So our card is actually going to fold down like that. Okay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put a piece of ribbon right in the center here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of double-sided tape in the middle. Find the end here. And I'm just going to sort of eyeball where it is. So it's just going to sort of be right in the center there. Like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ribbon here and I'm going to fold it in half, just so I can find that middle part, that middle end there. So that middle there that I've got the fold on, I'm going to just grab that, and that's going to go at the very side here. So that'll give you a nice even wrap around for your card. So that piece now goes right around the back, and it's nice and even on that side there. Alright, so now we've done that, I want you to go ahead and cut out a piece of cardstock, pattern paper, and this one is going to measure 3 7/8 by 5 3/4, and I've got a little bird up here and bits and pieces, and this is from the this is from the, what is it from here, I can't tell, the Studio 73 Timekeeper paper, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to put that onto the front of my card now. So just make sure I've got that up the right way, take that off, and I'm just going to pop that right over the top of my ribbon there, so that it's nicely centered. Alright, so we're going to go through and do the whole of the front of the card first, so I'm going to show you how to do all this first. So I've just gone and stamped some little leaves on some acetate. Now, to use any stamp on acetate or anything non-porous, you'll need to use the Stays On ink. So, as it says in its name, it does stay on anything that's not porous. So that's just on some acetate there. I've just roughly cut them around the outside, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back here and stick it down to the top of my card. Just a little bit, you don't want too much because it's going to be stuck down with something else anyway. So I'm just going to pop one there, and then my second one is going to go down this edge here. There we go. So there's just a little gap in the centre there, and that's where our little flowers are going to go. Alright, so to get on with the flowers, I'm just going to pop that there for now. We have some jack paper here. So jack paper is like A4 double-sided tape. It's just a very big A4 double-sided sticky tape. And I've just punched out a circle here. Now my circle measures 1.5 inches in diameter. And I'm just going to peel the backing off one side. So it is going to be sticky on both sides, but at the moment we're just going to use this one side here. Now this is not strong enough to keep the flower in place the entire time on your card. So basically what I'm using this for is I'm going to do my flower twirling there, and it's going to be a transport mechanism really from here to here. So once it's on my card, you may need to glue down some little bits that have gone astray there. So I'm just going to get the edge of my ribbon there. I'm going to bunch it up into a little ball, and I'm just going to pop that into the center as close as I can to the center. And I'm going to use my left hand thumb, and I'm just going to hold that centerpiece in place. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little twist and push it down into that tape. Hold it there with my thumb again, give it a little twist and hold it down. So basically all we're doing is twisting, and we're going around in a spiral until we get to the very end. So again, another little twist and stick it down. Oops, sorry about that. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So I'm just going to hold it in the middle with my thumb, give it a little twist and stick it down. So I'm just going to do that all the way to the end until I get right to the outside. So just a little twist. If you have big bulky twists, you get a beautiful big flower. If you have tight little twists, you'll get a very tight flower curl there. It's really a practice thing. So I'm just sticking it down as I twist and stick down. Hold it there. Twist and stick down. And hold it there. And keep going all the way around until you get to the very end. So I'm just going to twist it again. And stick it down. There we go. So I'm just going around the very outside edge now. So the ribbon size I'm using is about 1 inch thick, but you could use thinner stuff if you like, or thicker stuff. It's totally up to you. Alright, so that's the last part that I can stick down to. So I'm just going to cut the tail of this off a little bit. I am going to leave a little bit of a tail, because what we want to do is we want to take the other side of the backing off, and we want to stick that tail down. So I'm just going to give that a really good push down. So this is not going to be sticky enough to keep your flower together completely on its own. It's just sticky enough at the moment to get it from here onto here. So I'm just going to take the backing off that flower now, so that I'm exposing the other side of the sticky. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky. No, missed it. Okay, let's try that one again. There we go. So it is a clear double-sided tape, so this makes it really great for these organza type of ribbons. So I'm just going to fold this to the back and stick it down onto the back there, and now I can just stick that straight down onto my card. Okay, so these little bits might pull up a little bit, so in order to stop that happening, I'm just going to use my 450 glue, which is the very strong stringy type of glue, and this one is a good glue because it does make sure that things that are a bit porous like these ribbons stick down better, and it's really good for anything that's quite heavy like cogs and stuff. So what I'm going to do is the bits that are just sticking up a little bit, I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue underneath just to make sure that it doesn't come off the card, just like that. So if anything's sticking down, okay, just that's fine. If it's just popping up a little bit, I'm going to glue there. I'm just going to put some glue on just so to hold it down in place. Alright, so I've gone ahead and made another one off screen, and I'm just going to take the backing off this one as well, and I'm going to pop that onto my card as well. There we go. So there's the tail end of my ribbon, and I'm just going to fold that back onto the adhesive there. And that one now is going to go right there. So again, go ahead and just put a bit of glue on there if you find it's pulling up. So some of this one is pulling up. So I'm just going to put a generous amount of glue in there just to hold it in place. So there we go. Alright, so the inside of those little flowers, I'm going to put some little cogs. So as you can see, I've got these little metal cogs there, so I'm just going to pop some of those in there. I am going to use the 450 glue again for this, just because we're trying to stick it down to an organza ribbon. So we really need to give it something to stick on with there. So I'm going to hold that in place. I'm just going to pop some more glue onto my other cog here, low weight. There we go. And that one is going to go in the middle of that flower there. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds to dry so that it's going to stay in place. Now, we're going to have these two little Kaiser Craft flowers here, so I'm just going to use a bit of glue on the back of those. So again, I'm just going to use my 450 glue and just give it a big dollop of glue in the centre there. And I'm just going to put those down the side of the flower, just to give it a bit of colour on the front. Lovely. And I have stamped and cut out this happy birthday. I've got it straight at one edge, but I've cut a little fishtail in this right hand side. So this piece here, I'm just going to pop along the centre of the bottom of my card. So I'm just going to put a bit of normal glue on there. There we go. Alright, so that's the front of our card done. So now we're going to go to the centre and we're going to do all the inside part here. So to do that, we need to cover these 4 panels here. So what I've got is I've cut out another 2 pattern papers, and both of these measure 3 7/8 by 5 3/4, and I'm just going to put one on this side here and one on this side here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Put that on this side here, so it's just going to be a little bit smaller than that panel we've got there, and I'm just going to pop the other one on this side here. Down into there. Awesome. Okay, so this middle piece, I think we've got another piece here, and that one's going to measure 3 7/8 by 5 3/4 as well. Now, because we're cutting out a square in the middle of this, I've chosen a fairly plain paper to put there. So that one I'm just going to stick right over that score line as well. I'm just going to flatten that right in the centre there. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to fold that again just to make a nice crisp edge along there again. So I'm just going to fold there, grab my bone folder and score again down there. There we go. Now this middle piece here, we need to cut out a square in the middle there. So that square needs to be 2.5 by 3 3/4. So if you have bought the kit, then go ahead and use the template in the kit. I'm just going to measure mine because I haven't got my template with me. So I'm going to measure, what was it, 2.5. So I'm just going to find sort of the middle of the 2.5 here. Just going to try and line it up in the middle here, and I'm just going to come down 3 3/4. 3 3/4 on this side as well. And 2.5 this way. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to use my craft knife to cut that out. Now, because you're trying to get through about 2 thicknesses here, if you're using a craft knife, you may need to go through it a few times to get through the thicknesses. Okay, through that one. I prefer when I'm doing straight lines not to use a ruler, just because I can do it straight, thankfully. But if you prefer to use the ruler, go right ahead. You just need a metal ruler so that you don't break it down. Alright, there we go. So we have our middle taken out there. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold that in half now so that we end up with this C shape. And you're going to come in, measure in 1/4 of an inch. Sorry, 1/2 inch from this edge here. So this edge here is going to be your starting point, and we're going to measure in 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to put a pencil mark there at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to make that pencil mark about 1/4 inch up that way. So here's my pencil mark here. So I've come in 1/2 inch, and I've gone up 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do the same down here. So line it up with this edge here. come to 1/2 inch, and then we're just going to mark about 1/4 inch up. If it's a bit bigger, that's fine. Now I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut on that line there. So I'm going to go through both thicknesses here, so you can see I'm going through both there, and I'm going to do the same down the bottom here, so both thicknesses again. Alright, so when we open that up now, we have 2 little cut lines at the top and the bottom there. Alright, so we're going to do our little booklet in the middle now. So you need to cut out a white piece of cardstock that measures 4 3/8 by 5 1/2, and we're just going to score that in the middle, or just fold it in the middle. So it's just going to fold that way, and it's going to be the little booklet that goes in the centre there. So I've gone ahead and cut a piece of pattern paper out that measures 4 1/4 by 5 3/8, and I'm just going to put that into the centre of my booklet. So right in the centre, so you have a little bit of a white edge around the outside there. And then I'm just going to fold it in half again now on that fold line, and I'm going to burnish it down again with my bone folder. There we go. So that's the little booklet that's going to go sitting in the middle there. Now just to spice that up a little bit, what I've done is I've cut out a coordinating flower, and I'm going to put that into the centre. So to do that, I want to make sure I have a bit of room up here to or whichever side there, to do a little stamp. So wherever I put my flower, we need to make sure that you have a room to put your stamp. So I'm going to put my stamp along this edge here. So I'm just going to line my flower up in the middle, like that. And I've got room here to do my stamp. And now while it's in the middle, I'm just going to fold it so that I get that crease line in my flower as well, so I know where that fold line is going to go. So what I'm now going to do is going to put some foam tape on this side and this side, not in the centre, and then I'm going to stick it down back into that centre there. So I'm just going to grab my foam tape, and I'm just going to put a strip on either side of that fold line. As well, along there, so nothing goes on that fold line. There we go. Now in order to keep that fold line sitting flat in the middle of this card, I'm just going to do a strip of glue down in that fold line there. So I'm just going to do a little strip of glue. Oops. There we go. Just in that fold line. And that fold line on your flower now is going to go into that fold line in the middle of your card. So I'm just going to hold it there while it sticks down a little bit. And while I'm waiting, I'm just going to pull these backings off, foam tape there. And I'm going to stick that down to that side there. And I'm going to do the same on this side. And what this does is it just gives your flower a bit of a 3D look when it's open, but that centre there being glued is just going to make it nice and flat in the middle. So it now looks like it's part of the card. Okay. Alright, so I haven't got my sentiment stamp with me here at the moment, but I would go ahead and I would stamp whatever you'd like on the inside there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to fold this up, and I'm going to hold my tongue right and click my fingers 3 times. And we're going to pop it into this little slots here. So the 2 top ones go in there, and it is going to be a little bit fiddly, but I'm sure you can do it. So I'm just pulling that forward a little bit very carefully so I don't rip it, and I'm just going to pop my little booklet in the centre there. So that now is holding it in place. So just go ahead and close it. You might need to fiddle around with it a little bit. And I'm just going to close it there. Now, sometimes if you've put your booklet in too far back, it's going to show out this side here. If that happens, just push it back in. That's all you need to do. Just like that. And then when you open it, it's nicely in the centre. Beautiful. So that is our card. And then you can just go ahead and tie a bow on this right hand side just to keep it nicely closed. And that's the card done. So, I hope you have a go at it, and we would love to see what you come up with on our Craft Amenities page, Facebook page. So you can go ahead and ask to join that, and we'll happily clue you in on it, and then you can post anything that you like that you've done with cards or crafting or scrapbooking, because we always love to see what you've done. So thank you again for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Bye.